Hey, what's up, tubers? This is the SHTF Hunter. Um, my last video was actually a Facebook live video. I done it out shooting range, and I mentioned about one of my deployments to Iraq back in 2005, and I took that video, edited it a little bit, and put it on YouTube. That was my last video I put out, and one of my subscribers asked me about my time in service and what I done. So I thought that'd be a pretty good video, maybe. So anyway, so my time in Army Reserve. I joined the Army Reserve. Started back in 1994. I was actually 17, and my parents had to sign a waiver so that I could join at 17. They knew I was going to the military anyway, because that's what I was going to do. So so the Army Reserve recruiter got to me before the active Army guy did, and I hadn't really researched nothing. I didn't know, what the options were in the reserve, and I asked him. I said, if I want to go active, can I do that later on? He said, yeah. And so, like I say, I didn't do any research. I didn't know really what I was getting into, and so yeah. And I think in about August of 1994, I took off to go do basic training, and AIT. Basic training was at Fort Jackson for about 2 months, and then my AIT. That's for anybody that doesn't know, that's your specialty, your job when you're in the military. And Army Reserve doesn't have combat MOS so much, but if there is somebody with a combat MOS, then that's your occupational specialty. It'll be they'll put you in like training unit or a drill sergeant unit if you got a combat MOS and don't want to what do you call it, recertify in another job. So my first, when I went to AIT out at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, my first job was actually my MOS was actually to be a heavy wheel mechanic, which is when I come home, I was in the engineer unit, like a heavy construction equipment engineer unit. So I was in the maintenance section, and you know, but anyway, my first. If anybody don't know how the Army Reserve system works, a lot of people get us confused with National Guard. We do not work for the governor of the state. We work for the president. We work for the U.S. government. We don't work for the governor. But anyway, so you drill 1 weekend a month and 2 to 3 weeks a year. And my first summer camp in the engineer unit, we went to Grafenwehr, Germany for about 3 weeks to do work on tank ranges and stuff like that. And my second summer, you'll hear them called summer camp or annual training. So my second annual training, and I think it was 1996, was actually in Panama. I was down there working on roads and stuff like that. But so one thing I did do, being in the engineer unit, like our summer camps, we did a lot of summer camps that was overseas for 2 or 3 weeks. And where else are you gonna get that experience to be able to, live at home, go overseas for 2 or 3 weeks, turn around, come back. It's paid. It's like a small paid vacation from your real job. But I think a couple years, maybe in 1997, 98, I reclassified to be a construction equipment engineer, or like an engineer, not a mechanic, but I reclassified to be an engineer running. So I went to MOS school for that to become they taught me to run bulldozers, front end loaders, motor grader, and a motor pan. That was in my MOS, to run those 4 pieces of equipment. So I went to the Indiantown Gap, Pennsylvania, and done that. And I think in 2000, I I think I went to Korea in 2000 for about 2 to 3 weeks, and I did some welding when I was in Korea. We was building was building shelters for Patriot missiles. You know, always been tensions right there on the Korean border, but that was quite an experience going to Korea. And then 2001, I actually went to Canada, I think, in 2001. I can't remember exactly, but anyway, I think we went to Canada. That's about the time let's see, I'm trying to think. Shoot. 2001 might have been, I went to Germany, Grafenwehr, Germany again. And maybe 2003, maybe I went back to Canada. I can't remember, but in 2005, or well, let's go back to 2004. My engineer unit got called up to deploy, and so about the end of 2004, we were getting ready to deploy. We arrived in Kuwait, like I'd say 1st of December or something like that, and I'll always remember this. But right before, anyway, so we had like a 3-day convoy. You go into Kuwait for like 3 weeks, and what they call it, to kind of adjust to the temperature or whatever. And then it was about a 3-day convoy up into Balad. It's Balad's like 45 minutes away from Baghdad. So like it was like Christmas Eve when we got to our base, Balad. So it was like Christmas Eve. And that's the way I'll always remember it. It's because that's where I was on Christmas Eve. I was in the back of the commander's vehicle with a Saw machine gun. And so our job over there, you know, we didn't have a lot of work to do at Balad as far as construction work. And then we moved to Al Asad. It's up there closer to the Syrian border. And up there we built like a fuel farm. You know, we did some pads to put like what we call CHUs, container housing units. And we also did field HESCO barriers. So we did real engineer work when we went up to Al Asad. Al Asad is like an air base. And so, yeah, I didn't do a lot of convoys. I didn't get off base much during my 2005 deployment. I ran a water truck when I was over there. The water truck was used to dampen down the surface where the machines were kicking up a lot of dust and stuff like that. I also I ran a cut site one time where we push a motor pan, scoop up dirt, and then take them to the fuel farm that we were building. And so anyway, I spent almost 1 year in Iraq, most of 2005, and come home, decided I wasn't going to be an engineer no more. Engineer work was hard work, even if you were a heavy construction equipment operator. And so when I come home, I went to talk to a transportation unit about joining the transportation unit and driving trucks. I actually did like that job. So yeah, so I got in the transportation unit, and they sent me off to California for 5 weeks to reclassify, be a truck driver. 2 of the trucks they were training me on, I already knew how to drive. Like the 916 is the engineer version. It's a tractor. It's basically, you see a tractor trailer on the road. The 916 is an all-wheel drive tractor, and in transportation they use a 915, which is not all-wheel drive, but it's the same truck. But the only difference is all-wheel drive. And they also, the 5-ton truck, I can't remember what that was. It looks kind of like a deuce and a half. You know, that's something else they trained me on. And then there was the PLS, palletized load system truck. It's a cab over truck. It has like 5 axles. The front 2 axles steer. The very last axle is a rear steer, and then it's got 2 axles. It's got 3 axles in the back. The very back one steers, the other 2 don't, and the front 2 axles steer. On the back of a PLS, you can actually put a 20-foot Connex shipping container. You can pick it up off the ground, set it on the truck. It's got, and then it hauls a trailer that you can put a shipping container on that trailer and haul. So you can haul 2 20-foot Connexes, and you haul them out to the site, and you can sit the Connexes on the ground with supplies in it, and then you can pick up the empty Connexes. You know, like if they use supplies, you pick up the 2 empty Connexes, take back to base, refill them. Anyway, so that's what I reclassified in. I guess that's about 2008. Skip forward about 2009, and our unit was called up to join. They cross leveled us with another transportation unit up in Pennsylvania. They basically took 2 transportation units and made one, and that unit we were going under their flag pretty much. That unit was a PLS unit, and so when they trained us to be a gun truck unit pretty much. So when we first got to Iraq, my platoon got sent up to forgot the name of it now. Mosul. We got sent up to Mosul, LSA Diamondback, I believe. And our job was to run gun trucks for a recovery mission. And so if a vehicle's broke down, our call sign was Hitman. So if a vehicle broke down in our area, our job was to escort KBR wreckers out and recover that vehicle and get them back inside the LSA. And so we had that mission for the first couple of months when I was there. Went out on a few recoveries. We were also the QRF. For anybody that don't know, that was Quick Reaction Force for a certain area. And to be a quick reaction force, we had to be able to roll out the gate within like 30 to 45 minutes, I believe. And you know, same deal with us being a recovery asset. That was our job, to roll out the gate between 30 and 45 minutes. That was, and so we always had to make that time chop. And we always did, pretty much. So that was the first part of that deployment. Then later, a general, he came down and he said, transportation people, we're going to drive trucks. And he took away our gun truck mission. Which a gun truck mission, that's the reason you join the military. That's some cool shit, you know. That's the reason you want to go do this stuff. And so they took away our gun truck mission, put us back to driving trucks and hauling supplies, I guess. And we had to go back to Q West with the rest of the company. The rest of the company lost their gun truck mission also. And so we all went back to hauling supplies. They had gotten us the 915, like the regular tractor trailer. Well, the trailer is actually a flatbed. We hauled water, bottled water. We had I think in Mosul, they actually had like a watering plant, or where they purify bottled water. And then it was, you know, we helped supply it all over to the other bases and stuff like that. So, and then later on in that deployment, we did something called the DIBS mission, which is disputed international borders, and we was supplying engineer units. Was outside the wire. That's another thing about truck drivers in the reserve. That's about as close as you get to combat. Some of these people have been in combat, these truck drivers, because I mean, you're outside the wire just like the infantry. And yeah, we got ambushed a few times, but So the Disputed International Borders mission was, we were supplying engineers. They were building barriers putting up barriers and trying to secure everything so Iraq could have their elections, you know. So that was a pretty cool mission, and that pretty much I done that to the end of my tour, and that which was in sometime in like probably April or May of 2010. It was a 9-month deployment, and from 2005 to 2009, they'd reduced most deployments from 1 year to about 9 months. So came back home, 2000, went back, you know, we went back to doing our regular drills or whatever, and then 2012, a logistics unit picked me up, and it was a logistics unit from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I started I drilled with them for, I don't know, next 5-6 months, and we'd fly back doing training. What a logistics unit does is pretty much in charge of beans, bullets, and band-aids, you know, getting supplies to the units or whatever. It's a logistics unit is a lot of high-ranking brass, high-ranking NCOs. I was just staff sergeant. In that unit, the staff sergeant might as well have been a private, but so, and we deployed to Kuwait. I think it was about, I don't know, June, July 2012. So we deployed to Kuwait, and it was just like a 9-to-5 job. We went in the building. I had to monitor a computer for most of the year. And my job, they put me to doing container management, and container management, you know, them shipping containers were leased, and our job was to try to get them out of the country as fast as possible and back to the people we leased them from, to cut down the cost, you know, the government's cost, and because you're charged for, you know, every day you got these containers that's overdue to be turned back in, so. So yeah, I did shipping container management for about 9 months in Kuwait. Not really a glamorous job, but it was pretty nice. I actually liked the Kuwait deployment. Mostly the reason I didn't like the Kuwait I loved the Kuwait deployment was because nobody was shooting at me. So that always makes for a better deployment when nobody's shooting at you. So anyway, I come back out of that about 2013 and come back home and back to the transportation unit. Messed around the transportation unit for a while, and then I joined, I'm in a training unit now. Well, a lot of people don't know, I haven't quit the Army Reserve. I'm actually still in a training unit. You may have remembered a video I was talking about militias in Virginia. The biggest reason I can't be a part of it is because I'm still a soldier. So I cannot actively take part in that kind of stuff. So if anybody's wondering, that's why, because I'm still a soldier. And sometimes I don't look like it. I know I had a beard for a few months, and that was because we didn't have to go to drill for a few months because of the COVID-19. They didn't want nobody getting together, so we're starting to drill now. You know, they had to be into it sometime, so if you see me with a clean shaven I went to drill or getting ready to go. So anyway, but yeah, I'm still in my civilian job. I got a government contracted job, so in order for me to keep my 9-to-5 job, I got to stay in the Army Reserve. I got to maintain an active status in the Army Reserve. I've been in enough years I can retire from the reserve. I can't draw money until I'm 60, you know, from reserve. It's different from active, but that's about all there is to tell. And the training unit, our job is, we mostly train ROTC. Like, these are like second year college ROTC. These people are going to be officers. You know, we train them in common skill tasks, stuff like that. But all right, this video run long enough. This is the SHTF Hunter, and I'm out.